I'm a fucking genius. At the last moment of universal animalization, I drank my own blood. I became an egg. I thought I was a weakling. But I'm a god. One moment, the beasts were laughing at me. I killed them in a second. And just now, the military advisor reported. His lair was taken over. Several of my right-hand men have been boxed up. How could I bear it? I rushed to Zheng City in the night. The next morning. It's a new day in Zheng City. At the entrance of the city, a huge snapping turtle is staring into the distance. Its face is full of vigilance.
Boss Bill, why don't you take a rest in the back? We'll keep an eye on this place.
On the second day of his arrival in Zheng City, he was attacked by tigers. The tigers were all animals with special abilities. Their fighting power is terrifying. And they are very eager to kill. After they entered the city. When they enter the city, have almost no chance of survival. Luckily, at the critical moment, he led Mark and a group of animals in the city who also activated their special abilities. That's why they were forced back for a short time. It's called a retreat. But in fact, in the battle yesterday, their side was always at a disadvantage. If it wasn't for the crucial moment when he threw his weight around. If he hadn't used two Kim Seal skills at once to seriously injure the other party's leader, Zheng City would have fallen yesterday.
It's okay. I'm not here. You can't handle a sudden attack.
Although he wants to rest. But the current situation is simply not permissible. Those tigers are afraid of his special power. But once they realize he's not here anymore. They'll be back again.
If I had known, I wouldn't have tried to be brave.
When he was in the Magic Sea City, Kim wanted to seal his body. He shouldn't have tried to be strong. Otherwise, as soon as those tigers arrived, he'd be just like Kim. He could have just thrown a dozen rounds at him and nothing would have happened.
Well, that's that. There's only one left in him. I didn't realize you were so tough. Our boss said, as long as you're willing to surrender to us, we'll leave you alone. What do you think?
Are you kidding? With the ferocity of these tigers, after they give up their resistance, they'll be damned if they'll let them live.
You go up there and play with this little sheep.
The tiger hesitated for a moment. But in the end, it resigned itself to its fate and came out. Do you think your Grandpa Wang is afraid of you? Seeing the opposite side approaching step by step, Bill couldn't stand it anymore. Just as he was about to activate his special ability, Mark and the other dogs stepped in front of him.
Boss Bill, let us take care of him.
With a look of death on their faces, Mark's size instantly expanded. He stood up straight. The other dogs also activated their special abilities. The deafening sound of tigers' roar. The battle started right away. Mark led several dogs and tigers. Instantly stood in a group. In this situation, they can only stall for a while. It seems they can't hide from it. Thick earth armor, resonance. Bill was like a cannonball. Like a cannonball, he crashed into the two tigers. His speed is extremely fast. The two tigers hurriedly dodged to the side. Although they were sure they could block his attack. But when they thought that he still had this kind of killing move, they chose to avoid it for the time being. All they need to do now is to wait for time. Because Bill's physical strength couldn't support his attack for too long. After 10 minutes of stalemate, Mark's side was the first to be seized by the other side and knocked him to the ground. At this moment, Bill couldn't hold out much longer. Black smoke is rising from his body. She used too much strength. This mech is not broken down, right? He can't hold on much longer.
You're forcing me to do this.
He activated the last remaining lightning in his body. In an instant, a golden suspension formation the size of a millstone was instantly formed on Bill's back. A pillar of golden light shot out from it and shot up to the sky. The originally cloudless sky was suddenly covered with dark clouds. A golden thunderbolt with the momentum of 10,000 troops crashed down at the city gate. Both sides did not have time to escape from the attack. This was sealed by Kim and Bill's body. It was not released by Kim himself. So naturally, its power wasn't that exaggerated. But even so, the thunder still made the tigers, Bill, Mark and the other dogs limp on the ground and suffered a lot of injuries. This wave can be said to be a defeat for both sides. It's our turn. Let's go. Let's charge. Let's kill him while he's hurt. Those ordinary members of the dragon nest. They all rushed forward. At this moment, they beat up the tigers lying on the ground. They were all ordinary animals without special abilities. A huge force came from the dogs that were beating up the tiger's leader, and they were sent flying in an instant. After a few struggles, the dogs lost all their breath. A bunch of hairy dogs. How dare they make a move on me? The tiger leader, who was originally lying on the ground and could not move. Nobody knows when he regained the ability to move. I didn't think we'd have to use this against you, trash. You'll all die today. This power allows them to gain more power than they have in a short period of time, but the side effect is that they need to burn their life force. And it can only be used once in a lifetime. Die. 7 tigers at the same time. Towards Bill, who was lying on the ground. It's over, Kim. I'll have to take you as my little brother in my next life. Bill's heart is ashen. Ka-ching. Like the sound of metal clashing and something heartbreaking sounded at the same time. The sound of a heartbreaking voice came. Bill? Die, Dragon's Fury. A high-pitched rumbling sound that shook the sky and the earth suddenly exploded in the minds of the tigers. The unpleasant smell of the jungle came out. In a blaze of orange-red fire, the corpses of 7 tigers were burned to nothingness in no time. Looking at the motionless Bill on the ground, Kim was furious. System, is there any way to save him?